Welcome into the NFL Opening Line Report, Monday, November 30th, Week 13 in the NFL. We got a Monday nighter we're going to hit, Teddy, and then look ahead at the Opening Line Report for Week 13 in the NFL. But without further ado, happy Monday morning, Mr. Teddy Covers.
Hey, great to be here, Drew. It's a bizarre time right now where we're seeing games canceled and postponed and changed in a way that is definitely, this last weekend I had a game canceled on Saturday at the last minute. I had obviously a big ticket play on the Steelers minus 4.5 that I thought was as good a bet as I've ever seen. That's now, unfortunately, the game got canceled, and the new line is Pittsburgh minus 10.5 for Tuesday. It's been a little bit, it's been difficult in that way. And throw in the fact that this last weekend, this was a bad beat weekend in college and the NFL. I had three losers all weekend. I had Cal money line on Friday. They missed the extra point to tie the game. Washington won the second half 24-0, but they played such a bad first half they didn't cover. And then the Browns yesterday, who, the fourth down call to keep the drive alive for Jacksonville to get the backdoor touchdown it wasn't fun. I'll just put it that way. I had three losers up for the entirety of the weekend, and all three of them were like, shit, I could have won this game. I should have won that game. There was lots of results like that this weekend. So when you throw in the tough beats this weekend and the cancellations that are, and the COVID issues, it's one of those weeks that you got to go, all right, let's take a breath.
Yeah.
And let's see what we can, because again, the opening line report, the goal of this show is to be able to predict out line moves. All right, this is where the money's coming. This is what it looks like on Monday. These are games you want to bet now. These are games you want to bet later. I'll tell you what, I went back through last week's show and the week before. My accuracy is not where it should be because we're having all of these late week issues with games getting canceled, postponed, moved, COVID outbreaks on Thursday, COVID outbreaks on Friday. And they're definitely affecting the efficiency of what I'm able to predict on Monday. So do the best I can. But this football season is unique, and we have to recognize that, and we have to recognize that things can and will change as the week progresses. So all that being said, yeah, let's talk some football.
Teddy, I like what you said there, and effort will grade you an A+. So hopefully this week we'll hone in on the accuracy for where these lines are going, guys, which is the point of the show. The NFL Opening Line Report. Welcome in if you're watching in live each and every Monday, 10 a.m. Pacific time. A little after that, actually, 10 a.m. Pacific time. If you want to set your notifications for the NFL Opening Line Report, watching live simulcast on the WagerTalk YouTube channel. Welcome in to the chat box. Just a couple of you here. I see Gerald Jones, Davy Jones, Matt Murray, Eagles bandwagon. Welcome in. Paul Blakeney from England on the other side of the pond. Welcome in. If you guys are watching from anywhere really cool, which everywhere is really cool, let us know in the chat box. We'll get it out here to the watchers. Also, what you're looking to bet and why. So, guys, we got Seattle at Philadelphia up first. That's tonight's game for the live viewers here, Teddy. Also, anybody watching on replay before this game kicks off, 8:15 p.m. Eastern kick here. We got 275, 276. Seattle Seahawks at the Philadelphia Eagles. We're seeing Seattle minus 6.5 now favorites, road favorites here, Teddy. 49, 48.5 being the total. A little bit, depending where you're shopping. It looks like most offshores are at 49. Here in Vegas, mostly 48.5s with the total. But Teddy, I got an opinion on this game tonight that I like, I bet personally, but I'll throw it over to you first, man. What are you thinking for tonight's Monday Night Football?
Sure, the look headline on this game was Seattle minus 3. My powering number in the game was Seattle minus 4.5. So we're looking at 6.5 right now. I do think there's a little bit of quote unquote value on Philadelphia. That said, there's been value on Philadelphia all year. And the Eagles have found ways to lose these games and found ways to fail to cover. And you have a quarterback in Carson Wentz who is not at the top of his game. And you have an offensive line that's been a disaster area for him and a receiving core that's been a disaster area. And Wentz has taken all the blame. But even though Philly is they win tonight, they're in first place again.
Are they? It's hard to keep up with, I'm sure, though.
It's hard to trust the Eagles are a mediocre team on a good day and a bad team on most days, and the Seahawks are a pretty good team. Seattle's also the big public side in this game. You're not getting any line value whatsoever with the Seahawks. And do I want to lay, 6.5 points with a public favorite on the road on Monday Night Football? I don't. From a size standpoint, it's an easy pass for me. Total wise, I lean under. The Seahawks and the Seahawks were such a strong over team earlier in the season. The markets still look at Seattle that way in many regards. Philly can't score. The Seahawks defense has gotten significantly better since they picked up Carlos Dunlap. Really has. All of a sudden, they're controlling the line of scrimmage, and it makes a huge difference for them defensively. Dunlap has been an impact player, and the game plan from Pete Carroll has been, I don't want to throw Russell Wilson back to pass 56 times a game. We have to run the football. So given this, and of course, Philly, both teams have question marks on the offensive line tonight. So especially Seattle. Seattle's got 4 starting offensive linemen that are all just questionable. I don't know if they're playing. But that's not a situation where I want to lay that type of price with the Seahawks. I don't trust Philly. I lean under. But not a game where I bet. I'm involved in college hoops tonight. My first play of the season in college hoops. But I did not get involved in Monday Night Football.
And check that out on Teddy Cover's page, WagerTalk or sportsmemo.com. It is $9 Monday at both sites. All plays discounted to just $9. Teddy, talking about tonight's game here. First of all, great points. Sidewise, I actually lean Seattle. They did have the extra time to prepare for the Monday Night Football, not playing since last Thursday. But more importantly, what I bet personally here, Teddy, and you spoke to some of that, the change with Seattle's offense. Pete Carroll talked about it before their last game against Arizona in wanting to keep the ball on the ground and not letting Russell Wilson just run back and throw it a bunch of times, almost like college style. 31 rushes, 28 passes. Last time out versus Arizona, they won. The 2 games before that, I'll read them out here. LA Rams, they played 22 rushes, 37 pass attempts. In the game before that, 3 weeks ago against Buffalo, only 17 rushes and 41 pass attempts. So last game out against Arizona, guys, they really changed their offensive philosophy to what Teddy was talking about and keeping the ball on the ground. I would look for that to happen again here against the Philadelphia Eagles team. And like Teddy talked about, both defenses, I think are the superior units, maybe not so much Philadelphia's, but I will say the trend is your friend in sports betting, like we've talked about on this show. Philadelphia, 4 unders in a row. Seattle, 2 unders in a row. We've seen the market push here towards the under. You can still grab it at 49 offshore. That's what I bet personally, Teddy.
Yeah, and of course, these 2 teams played twice last year, and both games finished with the same final score, 17-9. It wasn't like there was a offensive explosion in either contest.
Teddy, we got a Thursday nighter, Baltimore, Pittsburgh. Are we hitting this? It is canceled.
We got to hit Tuesday night. Yeah. Baltimore, Pittsburgh is Tuesday. There was Dallas, Baltimore on Thursday that is now canceled. But it's a bizarre situation with the Ravens right now. Let's talk about it real quick.
Okay.
Right now we're looking at, again, I thought it was as good a bet as, we don't do games of the year. And I'm glad we don't do games of the year at Sports Memo WagerTalk. But I had a 5%er up on Pittsburgh minus 4.5. If that game would have even played yesterday, I thought it was as good a bet as you'll ever find with Baltimore. But the line was up, then the line was down, and then the game was moved again. And now we're looking at Tuesday. And instead of being 4.5, you're looking at 10, 10.5. And of course, we've seen what teams look like without a quarterback. Denver yesterday. RG3 is a quarterback for Baltimore. It's not like RG3 is gonna look like it's not gonna be the Broncos, but where there are 22 different guys missing right now for Baltimore with COVID. The Ravens are one of those teams that you like the mentality when the chips are down with Baltimore. The quotes coming out of Baltimore have been the right kind of quotes. That we're going to show up. It doesn't matter who we are. This division rival. We hate the Steelers. Yada yada yada. You have to be concerned about what's going on with Pittsburgh. The whole thought was that Pittsburgh lost their bye. Baltimore cost the Steelers their bye week. Okay, that's a big deal. Mm-hmm. All right, that's an FU. That's a we're going to show you something divisional rival. And if but now it's like the Steelers' bye week is shot. Now their next game is dicey and had nothing to do with them. And I really worry about the Steelers. And given that this has been such a dog series, 9-1 of the dog the last 10 meetings, and Pittsburgh on Sunday minus 4.5, worthy of a substantial wager. Pittsburgh minus 10 on a Tuesday? I don't know. I don't know. Let's see who's going to play for Baltimore. it's a major disappointment that game got canceled.
And Teddy, a couple guys in the chat box just want to speak to the rules here with the change of date that would cancel all the bets and you'd have to replace your bet, correct?
Correct. Yeah, it's a different betting number. I mean, and that's the key. Okay, if you look at the betting numbers all the way on the left-hand side of the screen, if you look at the WagerTalk or the Sports Memo Live odds page, when you're putting your wager in, you'll see oftentimes see the betting numbers. A lot of the new apps don't have it. Like the DraftKings app doesn't have it, and the FanDuel and those sort of things. But most of the apps in Vegas have the betting number, and when the betting number changes, that means that the old wagers are all regarded as push, and the new wagers are all have to make a new wager on the game. So there's the occasional book that may let you. I saw someone posted they were laid 3.5. Good bet. That's awesome. But that's definitely the exception rather than the rule. That'd be a local bookie thing, not a entirety of Vegas or entirety of, yes, you have to remake your bet.
And just to comment on that, I would go back and check right before kickoff and keep them to this, because Teddy brings up the local bookie thing. You might watch here right before kickoff. They might check it off. It isn't exactly a regulated thing out there with that kind of stuff. But Teddy, just to the rules of it, when the location or the date changes, not the time, the date, that is what cancels the game, right?
Correct. Well, that's where they're going to put cancel and then put it as a writing game with a new rotation number. And that's when the location or date. Now, this year, a lot of the books have changed it so that they were willing to accept a different location.
Interesting. I didn't know that.
Yes. However, date, when it's not played on the game at the day that it was supposed to be played, the vast majority of books require you to remake the wager.
Okay, good stuff from Teddy Covers. Follow him on Twitter at Teddy_Covers. Myself on Twitter at Drew Martin Betts. Feel free to throw out any question, guys. Also, if you're watching on replay, please drop a comment below. Teddy, we ready for Sunday's December 6th look ahead here?
Yeah, I mean, Dallas-Baltimore is not going to get played, barring any, on Thursday night. I don't think we're going to have an NFL game on Thursday night this week. To the best of my knowledge, as we speak, the look-ahead line was Baltimore 7.5 in that game. Obviously, that's not a valid look-ahead line anymore, given the Ravens. So that puts us, given the situation with the Ravens. So, yes, that puts us with Detroit and Chicago in early action on Sunday.
Top of the card on Sunday, 451-452, Detroit at Chicago. We got the Bears, -4 in the hook, depending where you're shopping. Looks like mostly 45s is the total in Soldier Field, Teddy.
Right off the bat, let's get the doodly-oops.
Doodly-oop.
Emergency betting alert for this game. They were, of course. So what we're trying to do on this Monday show, on the opening line report, going to give you the look-ahead line. These are bettable lines for these games from last week. I use the Westgate numbers, the Superbook numbers here in Las Vegas. Many books offer. I use with this book because that's the way I've always done it. I also give you my powering number for these games, and then we'll talk about where the line opens and where it's moving, and we'll give you some analysis. There was no look-ahead line on this game because of the issues with Matthew Stafford. They didn't know he was going to play, so there was no look-ahead. My powering number is 4. The market's open. It's high. There were some 5.5s this morning. Now we're looking at 4.5s, and it's moving quickly to 4. If you like the Lions, bet the Lions right now. All right, the 4.5s are disappearing literally as we speak. I'm starting to see the first 3.5s pop up right now on the Bears. And some of this is Chicago looking so awful again last night. Chicago was they looked like a quit team last night, even though they're still in playoff contention. They didn't have Akeem Hicks. 0 sacks, 0 QB hits on Aaron Rodgers last night. At one point in the second quarter, the Packers had 15 first downs. They were 5 of 5 on third down. And then the only time the Bears stopped Green Bay on third down, then they went for it on fourth down and converted. So it's a Bears defense that's struggling. It's a Bears offense that, again, when the box score didn't look so bad because Trubisky was, chucking the football around, down 5 touchdowns in the fourth quarter. They finished up at 26 points. Say, oh, look at the Bears. Their offense is going. Look at that box score. They moved the football. No, they didn't. And the markets are seeing that. The Lions, again, you make the coaching change. Darrell Bevell is now going to be the interim head coach. We don't know yet if he's going to call the offensive plays or if that responsibility is going to get handed over to another assistant. The quotes from the veterans, quote, "It has nothing to do with the head coach, Adrian Peterson. Matthew Stafford, after Thanksgiving, an embarrassing loss. 3 turnovers early in the game killed the momentum." By the way, they didn't have Kenny Golladay, DeAndre Swift, Danny Amendola, Jeff Okudah, Mike Ford, Deshaun Hand, Austin Bryant. So missing key contributors from the secondary, from the defensive line, and their 3 best skill position players all out for the Lions. Again, this is a team that hasn't won a playoff game since 1991. They haven't won a division title since 1993. They've never been to the Super Bowl. Okay, they're worse than the Browns in terms of a franchise. You know, the Browns had a heyday. Lions never had a heyday. They really didn't. That said, they've lost 4 times by double digits the last 5 games. Following the coaching change, following the Bears' meltdown, you're already seeing the Detroit money. I wouldn't be surprised if we see more. If you like the Lions, give them 4.5. Again, right now, that number is moving as we speak.
Yeah, 4.5 available still at William Hill. Seeing a 4.5. That's pretty much it, though. It's mostly 4s, like Teddy's talking about. It's moving as we speak. Shout out to the chat box. City by the Bay. Welcome in, Sherlock Homeboy, Matt.
I'm seeing Caesars also with a 4.5 right now. I'm seeing Bill Hill in the offshore world. There are 4.5s available still, but again, they're not going to be there in 15 minutes.
Yeah, we're even seeing 3.5s at a lot of
places. Yeah, they're not. This line is getting hit as we speak, and when that happens, it does. You know, the global marketplace doesn't take long.
NFL opening line report, moving lines here with Teddy Covers. Cincinnati at Miami, 453, 454, the rotation numbers. We got 41.5 being the total in Hard Rock, -11 in the hook here. That's the Dolphins laying in Miami Gardens, Teddy.
Yeah, look ahead line here was Miami -10.5. My Pari number is Miami -11, and we're seeing this line 11, 11.5. You know, I'm not seeing any kind of dramatic move on the side. The total, however, let's get the emergency betting alert going. There, we got another one right off the bat.
Doodly-oop, doodly-oop,
doodly-oop, 42.5. They're disappearing fast. They're pretty much, I only see one right now, and I'm not convinced it's there. That's at DraftKings. There are 42s out there still, both in Vegas and offshore. They will not be there in an hour or two. This total is getting bet under hard as we speak. So if you like the under, bet it sooner rather than later. And look, Miami, you know, the markets have accepted Miami as an under team right now. You know, it's a defense that has been absolutely dominant. Really has. I mean, that defense has been great. Their special teams have been great. Doesn't matter from a power rating standpoint, whether it's Ryan Fitzpatrick or Tua Tagovailoa at QB. The markets aren't adjusting for the 2 QBs right now. They're power rated equally. Brian Flores yesterday. Ryan played well. He made enough plays to help us win the game. He spread the ball around to a number of different receivers. 10 Dolphins had at least 1 catch in that ball game. He also said that Tagovailoa was, quote, very close to being able to play against the Jets, but they wanted to be safe with the rookie first rounder. I would expect Tua to be back on the field for Miami this week, which is part of the reason why we're seeing the under money come in. There's a much more conservative game plan with Tua than it is with Fitzpatrick. The Bengals went with Brandon Allen coming straight off the practice squad yesterday, and Allen didn't really move the offense that well. 17-29, 29 passes, 136 yards, since he had just 155 yards of offense. And it was, you know, there was no running game, lots of missed connections between a QB off the practice squad and his receivers. Zach Taylor said he's going to stick with Allen as the Bengals starter. He started 3 games last year in Denver, and Ryan Finley isn't any good. So the quote, I've been around Brandon. I thought he gave us a chance. He's a good decision maker. Not everything was perfect. We knew there was going to be some challenges. We needed the guys around him to lift him up and help him through this week, and we didn't get enough of that, to be quite honest. You know, this is a team that didn't get into the red zone until late in the fourth quarter. You know, the special teams played well, but they're still missing both starting cornerbacks in Cincinnati. You know, since he's a tough team to back right now, the under is coming in already and may well continue to come.
And Teddy, I mean, you talked, about the total. I agree with you there. And 2 for 2 on emergency betting alerts, by the way. That might be a first for the NFL opening line report, opening up the Sunday card. But sidewise here in Hard Rock Stadium, I mean, the Dolphins, 7-4 straight up, 8-3 against the spread this year. So they've been making money. But this is kind of a different profile of betting on the Dolphins, laying doubles here. Profile-wise, does that scare you if you had to pick a side?
Yes, it does scare me. I don't want Cincy. All right. Okay. If I had to pick a side, I can only at this stage of the season, if I have to pick a side, which I don't, I'm picking good teams, not bad teams. And if the bad teams find a way to get there and come through the back door, if you have a Jags against the Browns yesterday, or there were a couple of those, that were, that will end up being closer than they probably should have. That's the nature of the business. But Miami's a difficult team for me to lay doubles with. And that being said, Miami is double digits better than Cincinnati right now. Cincy, I think I have the Jags ahead of the Bengals right now.
Well, talking about the Jags, I mean,
31.
they've been playing better, and we'll get to that
better.
game.
They played offensively better yesterday.
Yeah. I mean, easily covering, which we're going to cover the Jags, but
easily covering. What game were you watching?
Wait, Cleveland versus Jacksonville?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The Browns had to cover, fourth down, stop everything. Oh, here's the flag. Oh, when the QB got sacked, pounded behind the line. I mean, he did. The fourth down play, the quarterback got destroyed. The offensive line got destroyed. Literally, the linemen were in the backfield before the ball was snapped, as the ball was snapped. And game over. Yay, we won. We covered. Even though Baker Mayfield missed multiple open receivers for touchdowns during the game. And then the flag comes out. Oh, yeah. Illegal roughing. There was a lot of the dicey flags yesterday. That was one that made me crazy. It was not an easy cut. Jacksonville may well have been the right side. The offense moved the football a lot better than I thought they were going to. Mike Glennon was the better. We'll talk about them in a minute, but it was not. It wasn't an easy cover. It wasn't a wire deal. They were a fourth down. They already got stopped, and then the flag came out. You're like, oh, are you effing kidding me? And that was the difference in the game.
Talking about did you have a Cleveland ticket, Teddy?
You think I did?
I knew it.
I had 3 losses this weekend. The 3 games I lost was a missed extra point, the Browns stupid game, and a game where I won the second half 24-0, but the first half was such a disaster. It wasn't like I had not like you want wrong sides. I don't want wrong sides. I like right sides, but I want to win some freaking coin flips, and this weekend unfortunately didn't work out that way.
Well, Teddy, next game up, we got 455, 456, Indianapolis at Houston, 53.5 being the total. Looks like mostly -2 in the hooks here. That's the Colts on the road. Talking about Houston and teams playing better. They've kind of woken up here, Teddy. Last 2 weeks, 2 straight up wins. Last 3 weeks, 3 straight covers here, talking for Houston. Deshaun Watson, we've talked about it a bunch on this show, one of the better quarterbacks in the NFL. You going to ride this hot streak here with Houston at home?
Maybe. We got to look at the Colts injury report.
Okay,
that's the key to this matchup. Look at line here was Indy -3.5. My powering number is Indy -1.5. The markets are right now 2.5, and it's a flat 2.5. It's not a situation where you got to get Indy now. It's going to 3. It's not. If it was going to 3, it may. But if it was a clear, it's going to 3. There'd already be 2.5 -20s and 2.5 -25s, and we'd see signs that it's getting there. And I'm not seeing signs that it's getting there. It looks like a 2.5. Right now, there were some 3s last night, and they've been bet down. Total sitting in that 53.5 range. We've seen a little bit of under money there. Am I buying the Texans? I was betting against the Lions on Thanksgiving more than I was betting on Houston.
Mm-hmm.
But there is improvement. Romeo Crennel, quote, "You got to give some credit to the guys up front. If they give him, Deshaun Watson, time, he's able to make plays. Guys can get open, he can hit them. He has that kind of accuracy, and Watson's been tremendous. And then you just talked about it. They've won 2 straight, 3 of their last 4 with Crennel. Good quote here from Crennel. That's good, but we haven't won enough. Now, it's a Texans team that struggled all year at forcing turnovers. Entering the game, they had just 5 takeaways for the entire season, no more than 2 in any game. They forced 3 turnovers on 3 straight drives against the Lions, which really turned that game around. And that could be a sign in the positive direction. But there are still flaws with Houston. This team cannot run the football at all right now, and they don't really stop the run that well either. The Colts defense, though, they were missing 3 starters and 3 key starters. Most importantly, DeForest Buckner on the defensive line, linebacker Bobby Okerere, and then defensive end Danico Autry. This is a team that went into yesterday's game averaging 3.2 yards per rush, the best. Number 3 in the NFL in yards per rush allowed. They were the best overall defense in the league. Yesterday, the Titans averaged 5.6 yards per rush against them. The Colts have only given up a 100-yard rusher 3 times since Week 15, 2007. All 3 of those times, it was Derrick Henry. But it's not just those 3 defensive players. They play without their starting center, Ryan Kelly. Running back Jonathan Taylor's on COVID list. This is the big one. Left tackle Anthony Costanzo hurt his knee in the second quarter, did not come back. LaRaven Clark replaced him, and that's when the game changed for Indy. So that's, we talk about the Forrest Buckner injury, Anthony Costanzo. That's another one you really want to pay attention to. Phillip Rivers is not a QB we want facing pressure. He's not a QB we want when the left tackle's hurt. Frank Rock tried to mellow it out after the game. Hey, we just did not execute in big games. It's about doing the little things right. We didn't do that. At times we've done that right in the big games. We didn't do that today. If Indy continues to have these injury issues, and these are injury issues more than COVID issues, that's going to be a big factor. And Houston maybe will be live to beat them on Sunday.
Teddy, that was great analysis there. And just to follow up, watch the injury report on Indy with their left tackle. What was his name again?
It's Anthony Costanzo.
Anthony Costanzo. Okay, good stuff there, guys. We got 457, 458, Jacksonville at Minnesota. We got the Vikings, -9 in the hook at home. Favorites here, Teddy, 52 being the total.
Look ahead line is 9. My powering number is 9. The markets are 9.5 right now. So I'm not seeing a whole lot of value there from a power rating standpoint. The markets aren't doing a whole lot with this game just yet. And of course, we saw the GM get fired yesterday following their 10th loss at a single season franchise record. Shad Khan, our football operation needs new leadership. Double-digit losses. They've lost 10 games or more 9 times in the last 10 seasons. 1 winning season since 2007 for Jacksonville. They've been pretty bad. However, that was the best the Jags offense has looked in months with Mike Glennon behind QB. Mike Glennon was absolutely to see what they've done with Minshew and Luton, and then Glennon out there. You say, all right, man. I mean, Glennon looked like an NFL quarterback. Minshew and Luton, not as much. By far, that was the best they've looked offensively in weeks. Minnesota -2 and of course, but defensively, the Jags, again, they didn't have any of their defensive coaching staff with them yesterday. They didn't have a bunch of players. They're dealing with a lot of issues on the defensive side of the football, which may not be good against Minnesota. Minnesota was -2 in turnovers. They were leading the game 10-7 with the ball. 2 plays later, they were down 21-10 with the ball. Back-to-back turnovers for touchdowns. And when that happens at this stage of the season, coming off the loss to Dallas, some teams shell. Minnesota didn't, and we'll give them credit for that. A lot of credit for that. Kirk Cousins went nuts in the second. Again, they didn't have Adam Thielen yesterday. They didn't have Irv Smith yesterday. Dalvin Cook got hurt during the game. Good quote here. I've always felt we had a really good locker room with quality character guys who were just going to keep playing and not get down or give up or point fingers. And a day like today, you get to see that character shine through. That was Cousins' quote after the game. All that said, Jacksonville for me, I don't trust the Jags, but I don't know. This is the price range for the Vikings. It's not Minnesota winning by margin is not an easy thing for them to do right now.
Teddy, next game up, we got 459, 460, still 1 o'clock Eastern, 10 a.m. Pacific kicks here. Washington at Pittsburgh. We're seeing the Steelers -10, but limited marketplace.
Yeah, and again, we don't know if the game this is a game I think is going to be played. The question is whether Pittsburgh's going to be on a short week or not, or whether Pittsburgh's going to just have their bye week again ruined. Whatever. I mean, the Steelers were supposed to play on Thanksgiving and then have their bye week, which they didn't get early in the season because it got canceled. So Tomlin said, I'll give you guys 5 days off after Thanksgiving, be back for next Tuesday. Oops. Game postponed until Sunday, which was part of the reason why I like the Steelers so much at -4.5. The Ravens not only screwed them, they screwed their vacation. But now it's on Tuesday, this game, maybe. And then Pittsburgh, if they play Baltimore, they're going to have to quick turn around for Washington. I don't know they're going to be interested in Washington, 11-0 after beating their division rival and losing their vacation. It's a Washington spot. I'll say that much. But we don't know what this line is going to do. Look ahead line was 11. My powering number in parentheses, because the Steelers haven't played, is Pittsburgh 9.5. And the markets were at 10 in a very limited marketplace this morning. Worth noting for Washington, Scott Turner's calling a bunch of trick plays right now. Alex Smith, we're finding our identity and getting better. First place team right now. There's momentum for Washington and positive momentum. And now there's stories. There's a storyline for Washington other than our football team, the name of the team.
Yeah.
Rivera beats cancer. Alex Smith beats, having his leg amputated. Antonio Gibson's a rookie to pay attention to. Terry McLaurin running down interception returns. He didn't get the DK Metcalf interception return, but it was a pretty nice rundown yesterday that saved the touchdown and ended up being the difference in the game. All that said, this is still a really bad pass defense, and the Steelers might well pick it apart. Don't know if the game's going to get played. I think it will. Hard to predict what the line's going to do right now.
Teddy, next game up, a game only a sports bettor can love. 461-462 Las Vegas Raiders at the New York Football Jets. 47 the total at MetLife. Looks like the Raiders, who were asleep yesterday, -7 in the hook or -8 road favorites, Teddy.
And this probably deserves a doodly-oop, but I'm not going to give it just because we're not around a key number. I do think the line is going up. I think the Raiders are going to take money. But I'm not going to, you can't freak out if you miss a 7.5 and you have to take an 8. If you like the Raiders, I would bet them today. I'd bet them sooner rather than later. Sam Darnold was wrong. Oh, yeah. So look headline here. Sorry. Look headline was 8. My powering number 9.5. And the market's, 7.5, 8 today. It's only going to be Oakland money. Or there's $1 in the jar. It's only going to be Raiders money. It's like a swear jar. Sam Darnold was awful yesterday. Everyone's like, oh, we got Darnold back and the Jets' top receivers. And look, even got Denzel Mims catching pat. And then, you look at the season, Sam Darnold has 3 touchdown passes, 8 interceptions. And the QBs who take hits and then take more hits and then take more hits, they get happy feet and end up like Carson Wentz this year. And you don't know if I don't know if Sam Darnold is ever going to be the quarterback he was supposed to be. Yesterday was a disaster. And again, it was a good defense. It was a disaster. Last 27 games for the Jets, Adam Gase, the brilliant offensive mind, they've been held under 20, 18 of those 27. Adam Gase's quote, it's frustrating because I feel like we're right there. We've got to make 1 or 2 plays, especially this last game. It's right there for us. There's been multiple games like that. Yeah, I mean, they were 0 for 3 in the red zone. Didn't score any touchdowns. They've got issues on the offensive line. They were from right guard Greg Van Roten. They were surprised to find out that Alex Lewis wouldn't play, and that was some kind of a team decision that was handled internally. And then they just got Pat Eflin. He had to play guard after only 3 days of practice, and the right tackle George Fant is out, and Connor McDermott started his place. And these are not good things for a bad offense and a QB that hasn't had enough practice time with his receivers. And a team that is basically looks like they've quit on their coach, but there's value with the Jets, I guess, because no one wants to bet them. The wise guys will find a way. That said, the Raiders had a terrible game yesterday. Again, the worst game from a point spread perspective any team's had all year. Falcons covered by 40.5 points. No other team has covered by more than 38 this season. So that was the biggest point spread loss of any season. And I mean, Derek Carr lost 3 fumbles on strip sacks, and he threw a pick 6. And Josh Jacobs had a career low 27 rushing yards and left with an ankle injury in the fourth quarter. And they had 11 penalties and 5 turnovers and 4.2 yards per play and all of that. But from a spot standpoint, we have to know last year, Raiders were 6-4. Then they played the Jets, and they lost that game 34-3. Dropped them to 6-5. They only won 1 game the rest of the season. Right at this time, they got blown out by a bad Jets team. Now here they are again, right in that same kind of spot. Chance at redemption. I think the Raiders take this game very seriously, and any team that takes the Jets seriously is likely to beat them by margin. If you like the Raiders, bet them now.
Teddy liking the Raiders from Las Vegas, Nevada. That's where we're broadcasting from right now. It's Drew Martin. Teddy covers each and every Monday morning the NFL opening line report. If you're liking the content, guys, please smash the like button. If you're watching on replay, feel free to drop a comment below. We got next game up, New Orleans at Atlanta. NFC South rivals here, Teddy. -3 in the hook. That's the Saints laying in Mercedes-Benz, 46 being the total.
Let's get one last doodly-oop.
Doodly-oop.
Yeah. 3.5s aren't going to be there. They might, but the most of them have already been bet out. There's still a handful out. If you like Atlanta, grab a 3.5 now. Look ahead line here was 3.5. My powering number is 3.5. That said, there's going to be some issues for the Saints after what happened with Taysom Hill yesterday. Taysom Hill was rough. That said, Sean Payton, quote, Taysom played this thing just how I wanted him to play it. And it doesn't have to be aesthetically pleasing to be effective. The job is to win, and he did a good job of that. The game plan changed in the last 24 hours. So my mindset changed as well. And I really became a game manager. And certainly the way Sean called the game reflected that. This is Taysom Hill's quote. We're not going to take any unnecessary risks and put the defense in a bad situation. This is a defense that now has 11 takeaways the last 5 games. They dominated last week. They dominated yesterday. And the running game, 44 carries for 229 yards yesterday. There are things to like about the Saints, but the market's going to look at now this Taysom Hill issue and the fact that he's going to be on the road again this week. And they're facing a Falcons team that the defense just forced 5 turnovers and notched 5 sacks. Oh, 2 are against Nathan Peterman, so they don't count. But it's a Falcons team that is drawing some betting market support right now. And the offensive line between them has only missed 1 start all season for Atlanta. We talk about continuity up front. The Falcons have it, and they're likely, even though they only gained 4.2 yards per play yesterday and the offense was stagnant, Julio Jones and Todd Gurley were both inactive, I would expect to see at least some Falcons support. We've already seen it. Whether it lasts or not, I don't know. But if you like New Orleans, if you like Atlanta, I would put 3.5 in my pocket here.
Teddy, shout out to Johnny Outlaw in the chat box saying Raiders are a car wreck. That was a good one for, yeah.
Like bad day. Look, teams have bad games. The question is, think about, we can think about every elite team this year except the Steelers who haven't played anyone who's had a bad game this season at least once. Teams have bad games. Even decent teams have bad games. The question is, the good teams respond. Look at what the Packers did yesterday off a bad game. The good teams respond. We'll see what the Raiders do.
Teddy, next game up, 465, Cleveland at Tennessee. We're seeing the Titans -5 in the hook mostly, actually. 54.5 being the total.
Look ahead line here was 3.5. My powering number is 3.5, and Tennessee's taking money. Now, this is the week that we're seeing the Titans get the respect. And look, yesterday was impressive. I mean, that was impressive what they did against Indy. It really was. And that was the game where I'm like, yeah, the Titans had all those lucky wins early in the year and they didn't cover. And now, now we're looking at this team that won playoff games last year and has basically their cast back from that. We're saying, hey, how live is this team? When A.J. Brown is making downfield catches and runs and Corey Davis is making downfield catches and runs, this offense is tough to stop. They're a Super Bowl contender. Derrick Henry, a monster yesterday. His last, this is a home game. But 8 straight 100-yard games on the road. Only Barry Sanders had a longer streak in NFL history. However, worth noting, Derrick Henry is 20 straight games with at least 18 carries. That's the league's second longest streak since 1948. This is a running back who may well run out of gas down the stretch. That concerns us. They did, however, get their offensive line mostly healthy against yesterday. Rodgers Saffold back in the lineup, and it showed. Ben Jones and Dennis Kelly fought through knee injuries to play. David Kessenberry became the third left tackle to start for the Titans, but Kessenberry did fine, and the Titans looked pretty good in that ball game. I mean, the Browns had a bad defensive performance yesterday. They really did, and some of that was certainly some of the injuries. That they had. Denzel Ward didn't play. Myles Garrett didn't play in that game, and I mean, Baker Mayfield made me crazy in that game because he repeated the hard throws he was making. He missed 2 open guys for touchdowns on easy throws, neither of which ended up being both of which would have made an enormous difference against the spread, and it didn't happen. That being said, the quotes from Cleveland, this is an 8-win team now. They haven't won the non-losing season for the Browns. They're feeling pretty good about themselves. Joel Bitonio on the offensive line. It's definitely one where you see the grit of a team. You don't get to practice all week. The defense was missing guys. We only had a 1-2 practice. We had one of our farther travel games of the year. All those things kind of added up. It just went down to the wire. It was a little closer than we would like, but we found a way to pull it out. That's what good teams in the league do, find ways to win. The Browns have been doing that on a regular basis. That said, right now, Tennessee's a team the markets are pretty high on. Cleveland, not so much. Look ahead 3.5. Current market 5.5. Both teams only played one game. Both teams won. You see what the markets are doing. There's a lot of respect for Tennessee that wasn't there a week ago.
Teddy, next game up as we move on to the 4 o'clock Eastern, 1 o'clock Pacific, 4-6-7, 4-6-8, New York Football Giants at the Seattle Seahawks. Looks like Seattle -7 in the hook, but a limited marketplace with the Seahawks playing tonight.
Yeah, and I'm seeing something else. I'm seeing 10s as well, which tells me that Daniel Jones, they don't think he's going to play. They're just popping up. They weren't here when we started the show. So look ahead line here was 7.5. My powering number is 7.5. The markets last night were 7.5/9, which means the books that, again, there are books that don't hang 8s or 8.5s. They move from 7.5 to 9. It's called a teaser protection line. So be aware of that. So there were 7.5s and 9s. It's not like there's a huge difference. They just juice up the 9 to make it a 7.5, the more equivalent, and that way they don't get screwed on 6-point teasers. So there are books that do that. That said, Colt McCoy, and again, I'm assuming that the 10s I'm seeing are because there was an MRI for Daniel Jones. We were supposed to find out at some point this morning. I haven't been able to look to find out what it was. There is a significant drop-off between Jones and McCoy. And McCoy came in the game yesterday, 6 of 10 for 31 yards. He is what he is. He's worth something as a backup quarterback because he can make plays with his feet, but it is a drop-off at QB for the Giants. As for Seattle, it's a short week, obviously. They'll be traveling back from the East Coast. But if Seattle looks good tonight, no surprise if the markets are fairly high. Again, this is one. It's just too many moving parts right now. I don't want to make a prediction on where this line's going. Let's see what it looks. The Giants are likely to get some support, maybe. Just given the situation for the Seahawks, if the Seahawks win tonight, I don't know. I don't see it. There's too much to think about. Let's move on to the next one. I don't have a sense of where this line's moving or what's going to happen with it.
All right, we got the next game coming up. But, guys, want to remind you, check out Teddy Covers on WagerTalk or SportsMemo.com. 65% all sports since Halloween. So he's seeing it well right now, guys. Hot 11-3, 79% in November for his NFL. And my favorite stat, guys, since the start of the 2015 season, he's hitting 57% in the NFL betting markets. That's counting every play since 2015, 211 and 161, 57% in the NFL betting markets. We got 469, 470 up next, Teddy. LA Rams, Arizona Cardinals. We got the Rams minus 3-point road favorites, 48 being the total in the desert.
Yeah, look ahead line here was Arizona -1. My powering number is when I have it to pick them /1, I would call it a half. I got the Rams favored by a half a point, which you don't usually see in Vegas. Some of the Jersey books are doing that, having a half-point favorite, but there's no reason to have a half-point favorite. You can just line it a pick 'em or 1. That said, that's my true powering number is. The markets are heavy on LA this morning. I feel like the 2.5. I mean, look, the leading indicator books are all at 3 right now, or mostly at 3. And there's still a handful of 2.5s with juice out there. So if you like the Rams, I'm not going to call it emergency betting like there's not enough of them left. But I would you can find the 2.5 and bet it now. Zane Gonzalez has now cost the Cardinals 2 games. Both times they lose by a field goal. Both times he misses very makeable field. Again, 45-yarder in Foxborough is not an easy kick, but it's a kick your NFL kicker's got to make. And he missed it. And then the penalty on the final drive. And then the getting stuffed before halftime when it looked like they had the TD, and then they went for it on 4th down, and their run got stopped short. It's the Cardinals haven't played badly, but I don't know they're good enough to win all these coin flip games, and they weren't yesterday in that contest against a desperate New England team. And they shut down their defense, played great. With the Rams, I mean, again, the clients and I cashed yesterday with the 49ers against the Rams. And, Jared Goff's an SSDD quarterback. Same shit, different day. When Goff faces a good defense, you don't want the Rams. When Goff faces a mediocre to bad defense, the Rams are just fine. Yesterday, he faced a good defense that was hungry, and he got eaten alive, and he turned the ball over. Arizona's defense not as good as that of San Francisco. Sean McVay not pleased with his QB Our quarterback has got to take better care of the football. Goff tied for second in the NFL with 14 giveaways. We've got to take better care of the football, or else I'm going to keep coming up here and saying the same thing week in and week out. They deserve the respect, but a lot of respect for us. It was simple execution. Guys didn't make plays in crunch time. We need guys to step up in certain spots. Now, look, Aaron Donald took over that game. All right, he blew up the game. The defense got 3 turnovers and a touchdown, and the offense didn't get the job done. Cam Akers had a 61-yard run. The other 27 carries, they got 65 yards. Cooper Kupp, quote, the defense played lights out all day. What they were able to do, the Niners, was incredible. As an offense, we have to capitalize on those upswings. We have to do a better job. This is a huge game for both these teams. I don't know if we're going to call it a playoff elimination game in a very crowded NFC West, but statement game. Markets are saying the Rams are clearly better. I don't know what I agree with that.
Yeah, this is an important one in the NFC West. Like you said, Teddy, we got next game up here, limited marketplace with Philadelphia playing tonight, but we got the Eagles at the Packers, seeing 7.5 limited marketplace though, Teddy.
Yeah, look ahead line was 6.5 on this game. My powering number prior to Philly playing tonight is 7.5 on the game, and we are seeing some 7.5, 8. There's even an 8.5 out there, a prominent 8.5 here in Vegas. The 30th time Aaron Rodgers has thrown 3 touchdown passes and a half. Since he became the starter. Only Drew Brees has done it more often. Packers only had 7 takeaways their first 9 games of the season. Now they've taken the ball away 5 times the last 2 games. If they start getting takeaways, Green Bay moves from a good team to an elite team. Issues on the offensive line, potentially. Corey Linsley got hurt for the Packers yesterday. For the Eagles, we'll have to see how they look tonight. I don't want to make any predictions on that. If Philly looks really good, if Philly blows out Seattle, maybe this line's 7. But if you think Philly's blowing out Seattle, you're better off putting a bet on the Eagles' money line than worrying about what the next week's line going to look like.
Well said, Teddy. 3 games left here, 4-7-3, 4-7-4, 4:25 Eastern, 1:25 Pacific kick. New England Patriots at the LA Chargers, not to be confused with the San Diego Chargers. Pick'em price, 47 being the total in LA, Teddy.
Look ahead line, Chargers -1.5. My powering number, Chargers -1.5. The line open, Chargers -1, -1.5. We are seeing New England money pick'ems. I'm not seeing anything that with the Patriots favorite. I don't think the Patriots move to the favorite here. And again, from 1.5 to pick'em is not a huge line move. It's a couple of bets. And the second time in a row, the Chargers went back east, and the offense looked out of sync for the early start game back east. You know, Joey Bosa was a monster yesterday. But it's a Chargers team. Again, you have a coaching staff that is finding ways to screw up. George Stewart, the latest guy to get thrown under the bus. He was their special teams coordinator. And their special teams have been awful. Okay, the kicker still missed an extra point yesterday and made it different. Austin Eckler came back, 44 yards rushing, 11 catches for 85 yards. He makes the passing game better, no question. He does. Joey Bosa talked about after the game how they felt. They're pretty upset, really wanted to pull it out. Hard to feel excited after a tough game like that. And there's lots of, Anthony Lynn, if you read anything from LA, they're all piling on Anthony Lynn and the play calling down the stretch of that ball game. And the 1st and goal situation at the end of the game that cost them not to cover the point spread. Herbert, a good quote here. As a team, it wasn't good enough. Offensively, we underperformed. Defense came up with big stops and turnovers. It's on us and the offense. I like it when the young quarterback recognizes his leadership role, credits the part of the team that actually played well, and says, we're going to do better. To me, that's a mature type of commentary. And look, the Patriots aren't any good. They have 179 yards of offense. All they did was they took advantage of mistakes by Arizona yesterday. Cam Newton, I'd rather have an ugly win than a pretty loss. I agree. We didn't play our best game offensively. When we needed it, we got the job done, and that's all that counts. Yeah, they had the goal line stand before halftime. They had a couple of nice kickoff. The Patriots aren't a kickoff return team. They had a couple of nice returns yesterday. Dante Moncrief coming in off the practice squad. This is a 5-6 team that probably needs to run the table to have a shot at the postseason. The markets are going to give them credit for that. And the Patriots have found a way to win close games, whereas the Chargers, it doesn't hurt Anthony Lynn's record. I think Anthony Lynn was 4-16 in one-score games. But the fact that they didn't score that last touchdown means he's still 4-16 in one-score games. even though it should be 4-17 in one-score games. They were supposed to score late for the Chargers. So the fact that he botched the clock management at the end and botched the play calling at the end, and the Chargers didn't cover, ends up helping his record look better in one-score games. But one team finds a way to win these games. One team finds ways to lose these games. And that, I think, at least is part of the reason why we're seeing the early money come for New England.
Teddy, we got 2 games left, but have a handicapping question for you, because you were just talking about the pick'em price here. And I think a couple games ago you mentioned, pick'em to -1. You don't need the -0.5. But in college football, yes, but in the NFL, with it can land as a tie. -0.5 point could actually come into the betting markets now.
It could, yeah. If it's that one game of the year that it lands as a tie, and you happen to have a pick'em versus a -0.5. If that happens to be that game, then yes. It's not saying it never happens. But there's 256 games in an NFL season? And there's usually about on average, 1 tie a year?
Okay.
So assuming that tie is that game where the line is pick'em versus -1 versus -0.5. It has to be that game. Otherwise,
right.
So yeah, it could happen. I'm not saying.
Do you ever see half points in the markets?
So the DraftKings is doing that. FanDuel's been doing the -0.5.
Okay.
Some of the Jersey books do it. We're not seeing it in Vegas. They don't do it. They just pick them with juice.
Yeah, no. Thanks for that. Just clarification.
And I shouldn't call them Jersey books anymore. And I mean, they're nationwide books now, and I apologize, but the FanDuel.
But they're not in Vegas.
In Jersey. What?
They're not in Vegas yet.
I know, but there's 20 something states that have legalized betting, and DraftKings and FanDuel are in more of them than any Vegas book.
Yeah. Why isn't DraftKings here in Nevada though? And FanDuel.
Longer discussion than we have time for.
Okay.
There's an interest. However, finding the right venue for them to get involved with has been difficult.
They have enough money to open their own venue, I would think.
You're not going to open a freestanding sports book. You got to be somewhere.
Well, they could buy property here, South Las Vegas, open up the sports book, and then they'd be in the state of Nevada. No,
they, in theory, perhaps could. I haven't seen that be part of their business plan yet. And again, Nevada is huge, but from a sports betting standpoint, Nevada's got a ton of competition.
Yeah.
There's much less competition in Tennessee or Illinois or wherever else.
Yeah. No. Good point. We got Denver at Kansas City getting back here, guys. Sunday nighter and Monday nighter to finish it off. 49.5 or 50.5 in that range for the total here in Arrowhead. We're seeing Kansas City -13 in the hook or -13 flat here at home favorites, Teddy.
Look ahead line was 13. My powering number is 14.5. The marks are at 13.5. We don't know what's going to happen with Denver. Yesterday, Kendall Hinton. Yeah, with a rookie center.
That was ugly.
It wasn't even like I was fascinated. I was disappointed in the Broncos' game plan. That was the guy. I watched that game like a hawk. I was fascinated to see what Denver was going to look like. And they didn't look like anything. They didn't. I'm like, they're going to create really creative stuff. And let's see, 5 different guys are going to throw a pass, and they're going to run all this wildcat. And it looked like they had one practice, which is what they did. I don't expect to see Kendall Hinton out there again. But at this stage, we don't know. And again, this is a guy who was a Wake Forest quarterback who converted to wide receiver before he left Wake Forest. 1 of 9, 13 yards, a sack, 2 interceptions, and a passer rating of 0. Here's this is sometimes I find these little ones and I just have to include them even though it's not handicapping at all. Hinton had 7 straight incompletions to start his career. That's the second longest streak for a player in his debut in the last 40 years. The only player who threw more than 7 straight incompletions to start their career throwing the football. You're going to love this. I love this. Jeff Fiegels, the punter, who had 8 consecutive incompletions to begin his career. And I will always love Jeff Fiegels. The very first big ticket I ever had when I first came into, the first year I was doing this, and the first big bet I ever had, and it was wrong. And Jeff Fiegels was the Seahawks plus against the Eagles, and they were plus 6.5, and they lost the game 9-3. And Fiegels single-handedly covered the point spread for me because he kept on pinning them deep again and again and again. And I'll always love him for that. But I didn't know that he had the longest career. I just thought that was interesting. The only guy that had a worse start to his career was a punter. Vic Fangio, quote, he did everything he could. That was a big, big ask. Don't know what the Broncos are going to look like this week. I do know that basically everyone in Denver threw the quarterbacks under the bus. I'll have to see what the team chemistry looks like in this situation. Of course, Kansas City went 0 for 3 in the red zone yesterday. And then they're up 27-10, and they go 3 and out, and a long drive, but then they get 3rd and 27, and they punt. Mahomes throws for 463 yards. Hill has 13 catches, 269 yards, in case he doesn't cover the point spread. That's the problem with teams like the Chiefs. They're not undervalued in the betting markets.
He's Teddy Covers on Twitter at Teddy_covers. I'm on Twitter at Drew Martin Bets. Guys, check him out, WagerTalk or sportsmemo.com. Cyber Monday specials there. Teddy Covers hitting 57% in the NFL since the start of the 2015 season. That's long-term here, guys. 211 and 161, 57% in the NFL betting markets. If you like short-term numbers, he's 11 and 3, 79% in the month of November in his NFL betting. Check him out, WagerTalk or sportsmemo.com. It is $9 Monday. Teddy, last game here, and we kind of got to book it time-wise. Buffalo at San Francisco, 477-478, the Monday Nighter for next week. -2 in the hook. That's the Buffalo Bills. There is a -3 out there. 48 the total in the Bay.
Yeah, right now there is a Dallas-Baltimore game scheduled for Monday. We'll replay the Thursday Nighter. I don't know if we're going to see that played. There are no lines out for that game. I don't have a powering number because I haven't power rated the Ravens until we see who actually shows. For the Bills and the 49ers, the look-ahead line was Buffalo -2.5. My powering number is Buffalo -3. This is not a home game for San Francisco. The game has been moved due to the COVID protocols. It is going to be played at State Farm Stadium in Arizona. I know we're short on time. I'm just going to read this one quote from Kyle Shanahan about yesterday's that was an ugly game between San Fran and LA. Shanahan, quote, it was the exact type of game that we were hoping for. We knew we had to run the ball and do all those things. We wanted to make it a grimy type game. We have 3 turnovers on offense. It's very tough to win that type of game. That's what made it so close. When the defense ends up getting 4 turnovers, it gives you a chance. So they want it to be a grimy type game. That's the way San Fran is playing right now. 48 as the total in that ball game. Worth noting that the 49ers want to play an under ugly style. Again, look ahead line 2.5. My powering number is 3.
So, Teddy, emergency betting alerts here. We got Detroit +4. We got the under in the Miami game of 42.
Detroit +4.5.
+4.5 if it's still out there even.
There were 4.5s out there when we gave it. There are no 4.5s out there right now.
Okay, the Miami under 42, and that was it for the emergency betting alerts, right?
There was a third there. I talked about taking the Falcons +3.5.
Okay, Falcons +3.5. There you go, guys. Follow him on Twitter at Teddy_covers. Teddy, anything you want to throw out here before I shut this down?
Whew, dude. What do I want to throw out? That's a lot of info, man. We got a full card. And I apologize we start late, but I got to have a break between the two shows. Thank you so much for watching. Happy Thanksgiving. Happy December. Hopefully we gave you some good info, and enjoy the games. Good luck.
Yeah, for sure, guys. We'll just make the start time 10 a.m. Pacific each and every Monday. If you want to watch live, guys, join us in the chat box. Simulcast live on the WagerTalk YouTube channel, wherever you're downloading your podcast at Sports Memo Podcast. Teddy Covers, Drew Martin, coming to you live each and every Monday morning from Las Vegas, Nevada. Guys, best of luck with your bets. We'll talk to you next Monday, 10 a.m. Pacific time. But stay tuned to the WagerTalk YouTube channel for a lot of sports betting information. Best of luck with your bets, guys.